So we'll use those large shears to insert that jack line again, which indicates the end of the pipe and the beginning of the piece. This will be one of the, or a couple of the few gathers before we add more to it. We'll let it set itself up and cool, then we'll go back over with another gather, and then we'll go for the mold again to blow it out. So we're going to rest here on the bench so then we can go back and gather around just the piece, just the bubble. So everything that is to the right of that top punty, I'll refer to it as a punty, so the top of the pipe. So the very end portion there, we're gonna gather up to that point to get some more glass, shape it, and then we'll put it into the mold here. The mold is made from wood, typically a fruit wood specifically, because it holds the water well. And so when we go into rotate, we won't have any sort of glass burning to the wood, and we'll blow and rotate to keep it from doing that. So it's been soaked in water. Kathrine Gray is our visiting artist for the day. She has her students along with her as assistants, and then we have the hot shop team also to execute creating this chandelier. We're making a chandelier for the California State University SoCal San Bernardino campus for a new building that's being put onto the campus. Can we please see the final illustration? As the pipe starts to get hot, we'll take it to the pipe cooler to cool it down a bit. It just accumulates heat in some areas, but it doesn't actually travel through the pipe. And so to the pipe cooler we'll go to cool it down. So we'll go in for another gather. Ooh, that's a great gather. This is kind of like trying to balance a bowling ball on the end, a very, very heavy bowling ball on the end of a broomstick. And so it's awkward because the glass wants to go every direction against you. And it's really, really heavy. So the bench and the reheating ovens, they're all the same. We just have a couple going depending on starting it and finishing it. We just need two ovens because we're working it. Some people start, some people finish. All of the blocks are made from wood and they've been soaked in water. So after we've shaped the glass, we'll go ahead and give it a reheat in the reheating chamber. It's about 2,300 degrees inside of this oven. There's only heat inside of it, not glass. Only thermal energy. It's powered by natural gas and forced air. It's an oven that we turn off at night and reheat in the morning. It takes about an hour to get to that 2,300 degree mark. So there's a lot of prep you have to do before you start blowing glass. It takes about an hour to get ready before you're able to start. we'll go in with that torch just to make sure that all of the heat is being evenly distributed throughout the piece. We like to torch the top portion a bit more too, is because this part will go into the reheating chamber last and it'll come out first. And so that's why we use the torch to keep that moil nice and hot. The moil is the end of the pipe also. If we can we please see the illustration that will go into the school? If you look up at the big screen there, we'll make 6 different orbs that'll float, the chandelier that'll float in the new building at the University of. Thank you. It's so hard for me to remember. At California State University, San Bernardino. Thank you. So we'll go in, we'll rotate. They'll use the air guns just to eliminate some of that steam coming from the guys above the box. I mean the mold rotating. We'll blow in. She uses a tube to blow into the pipe. He'll blow and cap it. Let's give a round of applause. Woohoo! Let's give them one more big round of applause for all their hard work. So now where we created that jack line, we will then add some water around that area, tap the pipe. Courtney's ready. Let's give them one more big round of applause for all their hard work. It'll go into the box. So it'll go into the box where it'll cool down over a certain period of time. Glass cools depending upon its thickness, and so these ones are pretty thick. It might take 1 or 2 to 3 days. It just depends on what the system is set as. It has layers like an onion, and so it has to cool over a period of time to prevent any sort of thermal shock. Welcome to the hot shop. We are making a chandelier piece. And so I think this one's going to be super large. It's going to go into the mold here. This installation is going to go into the California State University San Bernardino campus. The visiting artist with us here today is Miss Kathrine Gray. You may also recognize her from the Netflix Blown Away series where they work all in the hot shop. It's a competition. So welcome in, come on in and hang out with us. And if you have any questions, my name is Emily. I'll be happy to answer your questions. So as the pipe accumulates heat, we have to take it over to the pipe cooler to cool down that stainless steel. It doesn't Stainless steel is not the best conductor of heat, so it doesn't move through the pipe. It just gets warm as we go into the different ovens. And so we've gathered all of this clear glass from the furnace. It's these large tanks that have doors on them. They have silver bottoms with a black door or a silver door. And then all of the glass that we're gathering today is clear. It looks like it's orange because that's what the temperature, the high temperatures radiates. So it's thermal energy radiating. As we go back into the glory hole, also known as the reheating chamber, it's about 2,300 degrees of thermal energy. Once again, we have Miss Kathrine Gray with us and her students from the California State University San Bernardino campus working on her chandelier installation for a performing arts center, the new performing arts center on the campus. So back into the block we'll go where we'll rotate the glass to just kind of clean it up a bit, give it a perfect, well-rounded shape, and then in with the papers. The papers are made from traditional newspaper, folded up, and they're soaked in water to prevent them from burning when they touch the hot glass. The glass is well above 2,000 degrees as it's being worked throughout the process. Sarah will blow into the end of the pipe. So the lady sitting here at the end of the pipe, well, she's blowing to expand that bubble. We'll go in and flash the end of the pipe there just to make sure that the heat is evenly distributed throughout the piece. That portion where we flash it with the fluffy torch is the first part that goes into the reheating chamber, or it's the last part that goes into the reheating chamber, and it's the first part to come out. And so we have to make sure that all of the heat is evenly distributed, and that's why we torch it with the fluffy torch. We'll go in with our jacks. The jacks are a super large tool used for carving and shaping the glass. They're like two kitchen knives that are inverted, two blades. And so we're carving in a line of tension. This is also known as the jack line. It's the reference point, which indicates the end of the pipe and the beginning of the piece. We're creating a weak spot to be able to break this piece off the pipe at the end. So we'll allow it to set itself up a bit, let it cool down a bit, and then we're gonna gather up to the collar just before the end of the pipe. We're gonna shape this up, and then it'll go into the mold. We'll blow it out. Can we please see the illustration of the final piece? And so, some of these pieces that have been made today in the mold have color. These more centerpieces do not have any color. They're just very large in shape. So it takes some prototyping until you finish and figure out how to make it properly. And so if you see there, this is at Cal State University San Bernardino campus. Kathrine Gray is a professor, and she'll be installing this chandelier into the new Performing Arts Center. And so it's really fun to see the process and what it takes before it is permanently installed for others to enjoy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Netflix show Blown Away, but Catherine also is a resident evaluator on the Netflix series. She's been in glass for about 30 years. She brought her students up with her from Cal State University to experience this process of creating these different scale chandelier pieces. So now we'll go back into the furnace in just a moment to take another gather. Can we please see the furnace diagram? So the furnace is powered by natural gas and forced air. It runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it holds about 1,000 pounds of molten hot glass. So dipping into the furnace, it's about 2100 degrees. Resting, we'll go in to gather right up to the collar, not above that indentation line there. And then we'll come on out and clean it up. Yes, it's heavy and it's hot, and so being with just those two things together, and having to constantly rotate is what really makes it a challenge. But our last one was very successful, and this one will be too. All right. So from the furnace to the pipe cooler, stainless steel is not the best conductor of heat, so we're just gonna cool it down right where it was stuck into that furnace. That it starts to accumulate heat and get a bit warmer as we go in and out of these reheating chambers or the furnaces. So we'll go in to cool it down, and then we'll come over to the bench to blow it out, shape it up, and then we're going to put it into the mold here that's being soaked. All of the blocks that we use during the process are carved out pieces of fruit wood that have been soaked in water. If you can't see from where you're at, you can also look up at the big screen there to get a little bit of a better visual. The rod is about 10 pounds, and if you could guess how heavy the glass is, try your best at it. Every little step matters in the process to be able to drive a positive outcome, and so we have to work together accordingly quickly as possible. So we'll go in with those papers for shaping. The papers are pieces of folded up newspaper that have been soaked in water. This step will prepare us to go into the blocks there and blow into. So from this shape, we're gonna get it warm enough to be able to put it into the mold. We're gonna blow and rotate the final form out. We'll cool that bottom up just a bit with the air gun. We want to cool it just a bit so when it does hit inside of the mold, it'll cool down quicker than the rest of the glass as it expands. We'll give it a little flash in a certain area, then we'll give it a big flash in the glory hole. Into the mold we'll go. You gotta move quick because it's dropping. All right, catch the pipe. We'll blow into it as we rotate. Go ahead, go ahead. He'll blow and cap the pipe so it all stays in. They're watching for it to rise to the top of the mold, and that's why we're blowing and capping. As the air expands, it'll continue to rise to the top of the mold. We'll open it up. Okay, so the reason why we laid it on the ground is because, as you can see, there were creases at the bottom We don't want creases. And so you can put in all that work just to start over. So let's give them a big round of applause for all the work they did just do. But sometimes you can put in all that work and it still won't drive an outcome, or there'll be a couple just like defaults. But that's okay because that's how we learn. That's how we learn what not to do as we move through the process. And so you never know what's going to happen at the very end. Once again, today we have Kathrine Gray with us in the hot shop with her students from the University of, or Cal State University San Bernardino campus. And so we're going to do it all again in just a moment. I don't think we're going to use that big of a mold this next go round. For those of you that have just joined us, I'll give you guys a basic overview of how everything starts here in the hot shop. And so then we'll get into what they're doing in the process. So what they're doing now, though, is they're just throwing water on that glass and allowing it to fracture. It's pretty satisfying. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but that's okay. So everything that we do here in the hot shop starts in the furnace. The furnaces are the large ceramic tanks that hold about 1,000 pounds of molten hot glass. They're powered by natural gas and forced air, and they run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They hold about 1,000 pounds of molten hot glass, and they rest at about 2,100 degrees. So when you dip into that furnace with a stainless steel rod, it's kind of like dipping into a jar of honey. The glass is very viscous, and so as we rotate, we'll get a small gather, and then we'll blow into the end of that pipe, which will create a bubble similar to the shape of a balloon. And then that balloon is the catalyst for many things that are hollow, made in glass. So from there, we'll work in and out of the glory hole. Can we please see the glory hole diagram? So we'll work in and out of the glory hole, which is also powered by natural gas and forced air. It's used to reheat the glass to keep it from breaking. And the temperature is kept around 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. And so as you can see, it's lined with hollow fire bricks, and there's only heat inside of the glory hole. And then from there, we can do different things such as add color or just go back to the bench to shape the glass with our various tools. All of the tools that are used during the glass making process are designed specifically for glass blowing. So my name is Emily. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shout my name out. I'll be happy to answer your questions. We are going to make some different shapes with different molds in just a moment. Can we please see the the illustration of Kathrine Gray's final installation piece? So if you look up at the big screen there, for those that just joined us, we will be making different pieces to add to this chandelier. Kathrine Gray and her students are here with the Hot Shop team coming up from California. Once again, if you have any questions, my name is Emily. I'll be happy to answer your questions. So on the far left bench here, we're preparing ourselves to drop a color bar over a clear bubble. That's known as a color overlay. So we'll use a little bit of color and a whole lot of clear, and in the end, it'll look like a whole lot of color, but really it's a little bit of color, a whole lot of clear. We're gonna blow it out, and then we're going to stuff it into another one of our molds. It won't be nearly as large as the one that you guys just got to see, but it'll be just as cool to watch, okay? So in just a moment, you'll see color bar is how we put color onto glass. It's the solid application of glass. There are other ways to apply color to glass. Oh, awesome, we got a good visual. So those are different types of color. And so we use a little bit of color and a whole lot of clear to create a solid piece of glass. So you'll see we'll go in with the color drops, a color bar that's been heated. We call it soupy. And then we'll use our diamond shears. The diamond shears, they're designed for a 360 cut, so that way in one snip we'll be able to remove ourselves from the hot glass. So now that we have the color overlay properly ready to, we'll go ahead and gather over this color overlay and then continue to blow out the initial bubble. Into the furnace we'll go to gather. Sometimes if bubbles get into the glass, we'll tweeze them out and then snip them off, and that's what he's doing there. You can't see the bubbles from where you are, but he can at the bench. We'll go in with the block to chill up those outer layers and give it just well-rounded, even shaping. The block is a piece of cherry wood that's been hollowed out and soaked in water. The water prevents the wood from burning to the surface of the glass, so the steam protects the glass. Can we please see the final installation that will be at the Performative Arts Center at Cal State University? We'll go in and carve that line of tension, which will help us remove ourselves. This line that we carve in with the jacks is referred to as a jack line. It indicates the end of the pipe and the beginning of the piece. So we'll wait just a moment before we flash it and then put it into the mold. We'll go ahead and rotate just to even out the shape inside the block into the reheating chamber. Then we'll blow it out in the mold. Can we please see the illustration that will be going into Cal State University? There you go. And so here, for those of you that just joined us, here's the illustration of the chandeliers that'll be later installed in the Performing Arts Center. Ooh, very nice. And so, as you can see, we'll blow and rotate to produce another portion of the chandelier. Can we please see the images that will go up in of the chandelier? Thank you. We'll add a little water to that jack line. Gabe will get ready to catch it off the pipe. We'll pop it off the pipe. Let's give them a round of applause for all their hard work today. And that'll be it for the days. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us here in the hot shop. It'll go into the oven where it'll rest, where it'll cool down over an even period of time. And then it'll come out when it's all the way cool. Glass cools depending upon its thickness. And so this could take a couple days. Once again, thanks for hanging out with us here in the hot shop. Oh, yeah. Because Catherine Gray came to work in our hot shop with our team, just for different reasons. Sometimes it's it'll be the volume of the piece that lead people here. So we have the ability, we have the manpower. And so she was able to come here to produce her work. This is a piece that's going to go into Cal State University. So the students here that are with her are to the right of her. This is Catherine here, and then he's one of her students, and she's a student, and he's a student from Cal State, and then everybody else is Museum of Glass, hot shop workers. Yeah.